You've been feeling drained, anxious, or like everything in your life is falling apart all at once. This isn't just bad luck. There's something bigger going on that most people never talk about. Stay with me because what I'm about to share could change everything for you. You know that feeling when you wake up exhausted even after sleeping 8 hours, or when you suddenly can't pray anymore, even though you used to pray every single day without thinking twice about it? That's not normal. And today, we're going to break down the 7 major signs that you're under spiritual attack. And more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to fight back and win. Before we get into this, I need you to understand something. A spiritual attack isn't some movie scene with dramatic effects and scary voices. It's way more subtle than that. It creeps into your life slowly, disguised as normal problems, bad days, or just stress. But when you know what to look for, you'll see the pattern. And once you see it, you can do something about it. Let me start by explaining what a spiritual attack actually is. In simple terms, it's when dark forces, negative energies, or evil influences target you specifically to pull you away from your faith, your purpose, and your peace. The enemy doesn't attack people who are doing nothing. Think about it. If you're just sitting around, not growing, not praying, not making any positive impact, why would anyone bother attacking you? You're already defeated. But when you start getting serious about your faith, when you start praying more, when you start helping others, when you start living with purpose, that's when the attacks come, because you're becoming a threat to darkness. Now, let's talk about the first sign. Sign number 1 is sudden and extreme exhaustion. I'm not talking about being tired after a long day at work. I'm talking about that deep, bone-crushing fatigue that makes you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You sleep, but you don't feel rested. You wake up feeling like you haven't slept at all. Your body feels heavy. Your mind feels foggy. Everything requires 10 times more effort than it should. This happens because spiritual attacks drain your energy. When you're under attack, you're fighting a battle on a level you can't see with your physical eyes. Your spirit is engaged in warfare, and that takes energy, real energy, the kind that leaves you feeling completely drained. You might notice that this exhaustion gets worse at specific times. Maybe it hits you hardest when you're trying to pray. Maybe it comes right before you're about to do something important for your faith. Maybe it shows up when you're about to make a positive change in your life. That's not a coincidence. That's strategic. The enemy knows that if he can keep you tired, he can keep you ineffective. You won't pray if you're too exhausted. You won't read scripture if you can barely keep your eyes open. You won't help others if you don't have the energy to help yourself. So exhaustion becomes a weapon. And here's what makes it even more confusing. You'll go to the doctor and they'll run tests and everything will come back normal. Because this isn't a physical problem, it's a spiritual one. Sign number 2 is a sudden loss of desire to pray. This one is huge, and it's probably the most obvious sign that something spiritual is happening. One day you're praying regularly, feeling connected, feeling that peace that comes from talking to God. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, you just don't want to pray anymore. It feels like a chore. It feels forced. You sit down to pray and your mind goes blank. Or worse, your mind fills with distractions. You think about what you need to do later. You think about that conversation you had yesterday. You think about anything and everything except what you're supposed to be praying about. And here's the really tricky part. You start feeling guilty about not praying, which makes you feel even worse, which makes you want to pray even less. It becomes this negative spiral. The enemy loves this because prayer is your direct line to God. It's your source of strength, your source of guidance, your source of protection. If he can cut off your prayer life, he's cut off your supply line. You're now fighting without backup, without weapons, without support. This is why one of the first things that gets attacked is your prayer life. Because if you stop praying, everything else becomes easier for the enemy to attack. Your faith weakens, your discernment gets cloudy, your protection drops, you become vulnerable. And that's exactly where the enemy wants you. Sign number 3 is increased conflict and arguments with people you love. Have you ever noticed how sometimes suddenly Everyone around you seems irritating. Your family members get on your nerves for no real reason. Your friends say things that bother you. Your coworkers seem more annoying than usual. Small things that never bothered you before now feel like huge problems. You find yourself getting into arguments over nothing. Conversations that should be simple turn into fights. This is a classic sign of spiritual attack because the enemy knows that division weakens you. When you're fighting with the people around you, you're distracted. You're emotional. You're not focused on your faith or your purpose. You're focused on being right, on defending yourself, on winning arguments. Plus, when you're isolated from the people who support you, you're easier to take down. The enemy uses conflict to separate you from your support system. Think about it like this. If you're a soldier in battle, you want to stay with your unit. You want to stay with the people who have your back. But if the enemy can get you separated from your group, if he can get you out there alone, you're in serious danger. That's what's happening when sudden conflicts arise. The enemy is trying to isolate you. He's trying to break apart your relationship so you're standing alone when the real attacks come. And here's something important to understand. The conflicts might not even make sense. You'll look back later and think, why did I get so upset about that? Why did that turn into such a big deal? It's because it wasn't really about whatever you were arguing about. It was about creating division. It was about breaking connection. It was about weakening your support system. Sign number 4 is a flood of negative thoughts and doubts. This one can be really hard to recognize because we all have negative thoughts sometimes. But when you're under spiritual attack, it's different. It's like someone turned up the volume on every negative thought in your head. Suddenly you're doubting everything. You doubt your faith. You doubt God's love for you. You doubt whether your prayers are even being heard. You doubt your purpose. You doubt your worth. You doubt whether you're good enough, strong enough, faithful enough. These thoughts come fast and they come strong and they feel real. They feel like your own thoughts, which makes them even more dangerous because if you think these are your own thoughts, you'll believe them. You'll accept them as truth. But here's what you need to know. Not every thought that pops into your head is your own thought. The enemy can plant thoughts. He can whisper lies. He can suggest doubts. And if you're not careful, you'll think those whispers are your own voice. The Bible talks about this. It talks about the enemy being the father of lies. He doesn't come at you with obvious attacks. He comes with subtle suggestions. He comes with questions that sound reasonable. Did God really say that? Are you sure you heard right? Maybe you're not meant for this. Maybe you're fooling yourself. Maybe you're not as strong as you think. These thoughts are designed to make you question everything, to make you second guess yourself, to make you doubt what you know is true. And when you're stuck in your head battling these thoughts, you're not moving forward. You're paralyzed by doubt. You're stuck in analysis paralysis. You're not taking action. You're not growing. You're not becoming who you're meant to be. That's the whole point of this attack. Keep you stuck, keep you doubting, keep you frozen. Sign number 5 is physical symptoms with no medical explanation. I touched on this a little bit with the exhaustion, but it goes deeper than that. When you're under spiritual attack, your body can react in physical ways. You might get headaches that come out of nowhere. You might feel pressure in your chest. You might have trouble sleeping, or you might sleep too much. You might lose your appetite or eat way more than usual. You might feel anxious for no reason. Your heart might race. You might feel dizzy or off balance. You go to the doctor, they run tests, and everything comes back normal. They can't find anything wrong. They might tell you it's stress or anxiety, and they're not completely wrong. But what they don't understand is that the stress and anxiety are coming from a spiritual source, not just from your daily life. Your body is responding to a spiritual battle. This happens because we're not just physical beings, we're spiritual beings in physical bodies. What happens in the spiritual realm affects us physically. When your spirit is under attack, your body feels it. Your body responds to it. This is why sometimes prayer and spiritual warfare can make you feel physically better, even when doctors couldn't help, because you're addressing the real source of the problem. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that every physical problem is a spiritual attack. If you're sick, go to the doctor, get checked out, take care of your physical health. But if the doctors can't find anything wrong, and the symptoms started around the same time other signs of spiritual attack showed up, then you need to consider that there might be a spiritual component to what you're experiencing. Sign number 6 is a string of bad luck or obstacles. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. Your car breaks down, your computer crashes, you lose your wallet, bills pile up, things break around your house, plans fall through, opportunities disappear at the last minute. It feels like you can't catch a break. One thing after another just keeps going wrong. Now, sometimes life is just hard. Sometimes bad things happen, and it's just part of living in this world. But when you're under spiritual attack, there's a pattern to it. The obstacles show up specifically when you're trying to do something good, when you're trying to grow in your faith, when you're trying to help someone, when you're trying to make a positive change. That's when everything falls apart. Let me give you an example. You decide you're going to start waking up early to pray. The first morning, your alarm doesn't go off. The second morning, you barely slept because of random noises all night. The third morning, you wake up with a headache. The fourth morning, someone calls you with an emergency right when you're about to start. See the pattern? Every time you try to do something spiritually beneficial, an obstacle appears. Or maybe you decide you're going to volunteer at a charity or help someone in need. Suddenly, your schedule gets crazy. Unexpected things come up. Your car won't start the day you're supposed to go. You get sick. Something always gets in the way. This isn't just bad luck. This is spiritual resistance. The enemy doesn't want you doing good things. He doesn't want you growing. He doesn't want you helping others. So he throws obstacles in your path to stop you. The key here is to recognize the pattern. When you see that obstacles keep showing up, specifically when you're trying to do something good, that's your sign. That's when you know you need to push through even harder. Because if the enemy is fighting this hard to stop you, it means what you're trying to do is important. Sign number 7 is isolation and feeling alone. Even when you're surrounded by people, you feel disconnected. You feel like nobody understands what you're going through. You feel like you're the only one struggling. You feel like you can't talk to anyone about what you're experiencing because they wouldn't get it. So you pull back, you withdraw, you stop reaching out, you stop going to places where you used to connect with others. You stop attending prayer groups or community gatherings. You convince yourself that you're better off alone, that it's easier this way, that you don't need people. But here's the truth. Isolation is one of the enemy's favorite tactics. Because when you're alone, you're weak. When you're alone, you only have your own thoughts. And we already talked about how the enemy can plant negative thoughts in your mind. When you're alone, you don't have anyone to remind you of the truth. You don't have anyone to pray with you. You don't have anyone to encourage you when you're feeling defeated. The Bible talks about how we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to support each other. We're meant to carry each other's burdens. When you isolate yourself, you're cutting yourself off from one of your main sources of strength. And the enemy knows this. That's why he works so hard to make you feel like you don't belong, like nobody understands, like you're better off on your own. If you're feeling isolated right now, that's a major red flag. That's a sign that you're under attack and you need to fight back against that urge to withdraw. You need to reach out, even when it feels uncomfortable. You need to connect, even when you don't feel like it, because connection is protection. Community is strength. So those are the 7 signs: sudden exhaustion, loss of desire to pray, increased conflict with loved ones, flood of negative thoughts and doubts, physical symptoms with no medical cause, string of bad luck and obstacles, and isolation. If you're experiencing even a few of these, there's a good chance you're under spiritual attack. But here's the good news. You don't have to just sit there and take it. You can fight back. And when you fight back with the right tools, you will win. Because the truth is, the attacks are real, but your power to overcome them is even more real. So let's talk about how to fight back. The first and most important thing you need to do is get back to prayer. I know. If you're under attack, prayer is probably the last thing you feel like doing. That's the whole point. The enemy makes prayer feel hard because he knows it's your most powerful weapon. So you have to push through that resistance. You have to pray even when you don't feel like it, even when it feels forced, even when your mind is distracted. Just start. Open your mouth and start talking to God. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be long. Just start. And here's a tip that helps a lot of people. Pray out loud. When you pray silently in your head, it's easier for your mind to wander. It's easier for distractions to take over. But when you pray out loud, even if it's just a whisper, it helps you focus. It helps you stay present. It makes prayer feel more real, more concrete. So try praying out loud, especially when you're struggling to focus. Also, don't try to pray for an hour right away if you haven't been praying. Start small, pray for 5 minutes. Then tomorrow, pray for 7 minutes. Build up slowly. The important thing is consistency, not length. The enemy wants to keep you from praying at all, so even 5 minutes is a victory. The second thing you need to do is fill your mind with truth. Remember how we talked about the flood of negative thoughts and doubts? You fight that by replacing those thoughts with truth. Read scripture, listen to teachings, listen to worship music. Fill your mind with words that build you up
instead of tear you down.
When a negative thought comes, don't just try to push it away. Replace it with truth. If the thought says you're not good enough, replace it with the truth that you are loved and valued. If the thought says God doesn't hear your prayers, replace it with the truth that God always hears you. This is why it's so important to know what you believe. If you don't know the truth, you can't use it to fight lies. So spend time learning, spend time reading, spend time understanding your faith on a deeper level, because when the attacks come, you'll need that truth to stand on. The third thing is to resist isolation. Force yourself to connect with others even when you don't feel like it. Reach out to a friend, go to a community gathering, join a prayer group, talk to someone about what you're going through. You don't have to go through this alone, and you're not meant to. When you share your struggles with someone you trust, it takes away some of the power those struggles have over you. Plus, other people can pray for you. They can encourage you. They can remind you of the truth when you're struggling to remember it yourself. If you don't have a community right now, ask God to lead you to one. Ask Him to connect you with people who can support you in your faith. And then take action. Look for groups in your area. Look for online communities if you can't find anything local. The point is, don't stay isolated. Connection is protection. The fourth thing is to take care of your physical body. I know this might sound unrelated, but it's not. When you're under spiritual attack, your body is stressed. You need to give it what it needs to stay strong. Eat good food, drink water, get some exercise, even if it's just a short walk. Try to get decent sleep. When your body is weak, everything else feels harder, including spiritual battles. So take care of yourself physically. It's not selfish. It's necessary. The fifth thing is to speak out loud against the attack. This is something a lot of people don't do, but it's powerful. When you're feeling attacked, say out loud that you reject it. Say out loud that you're covered by God's protection. Say out loud that you will not be defeated. There's power in speaking. The enemy can hear your words, and when you declare truth out loud, it weakens his hold on you. You don't have to shout. You don't have to make it dramatic. Just speak clearly and firmly. Declare who you belong to. Declare that you are protected. Declare that you will not give up. The sixth thing is to use worship as a weapon. Worship music, worship prayers, worship in any form shifts the atmosphere around you. When you worship, you're focusing on God instead of your problems. You're remembering how big God is and how small your enemy is in comparison. Put on worship music when you wake up. Play it while you're working. Sing along even if you don't feel like it. Worship changes things. It really does. The seventh thing is to fast if you're able to. Fasting is a powerful spiritual practice that many people have forgotten about. When you fast, you're saying that your spiritual life is more important than your physical comfort. You're creating space to focus on God without distractions. Now, fasting doesn't have to mean not eating for days. It can be skipping one meal. It can be giving up something you enjoy for a set period of time. The point is to sacrifice something physical to gain something spiritual. If you have health issues that make fasting difficult, talk to someone knowledgeable about alternative ways to fast. But if you can do it, fasting can break through spiritual attacks in ways that nothing else can. The eighth thing, and this is important, is to ask for help from people who are strong in their faith. If you're really struggling, don't try to fight this battle alone. Talk to a pastor, a spiritual mentor, or someone you know who has strong faith. Ask them to pray for you. Ask them for guidance. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's one of the smartest things you can do. Other people can see things you can't see when you're in the middle of the battle. They can offer perspective. They can offer prayer support. They can stand with you. The ninth thing is to be patient with yourself. Spiritual attacks don't usually disappear overnight. Sometimes the battle lasts for a while, and that's okay. You're not failing if you don't win immediately. You're not weak if you struggle. Just keep fighting, keep praying, keep pushing forward. Every day that you don't give up is a day that you're winning. Every prayer you pray is a victory. Every time you choose truth over lies, you're gaining ground. So be patient, be persistent, don't quit. And the 10th thing, which might be the most important, is to remember that you're not fighting in your own strength. You're fighting with God's strength, and God has already won. The enemy might attack you, but he's already been defeated. The battle belongs to God, not to you. Your job is to stay faithful, to keep praying, to keep trusting. God's job is to win the war, and he will every single time. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. When you're under spiritual attack, it's actually a sign that you're doing something right. The enemy doesn't waste his time on people who aren't a threat. If you're being attacked, it means you matter. It means your prayers matter. It means your faith matters. It means you're making an impact. So in a weird way, being under attack is almost a compliment. It means you're dangerous to darkness. It means you're someone worth fighting against. And that's actually a good thing, even though it doesn't feel good in the moment. Think about it this way. If you were the enemy, who would you attack? Would you attack someone who's already defeated, someone who's not praying, not growing, not helping others? No. You'd ignore that person because they're not a threat. You'd focus your attacks on people who are praying, people who are growing, people who are making a difference. You'd attack the people who are actually dangerous to your plans. So if you're under attack, take it as a sign that you're on the right path. You're doing something that matters, and that's why the enemy wants to stop you. But here's the key. Don't let the attack stop you. Don't let it slow you down. Use it as fuel. Use it as motivation. Let it make you stronger instead of weaker. Let it push you deeper into your faith instead of pulling you away. When you respond to spiritual attacks by getting stronger, by praying more, by trusting God more, you turn the enemy's weapon against him. You take what he meant for evil and turn it into good. And that's how you really win. I also want to address something that some people struggle with. Sometimes we blame ourselves for being under attack. We think, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? Am I being punished? And the answer is no. Being under spiritual attack is not punishment. It's not because you did something wrong. Sometimes it's actually because you're doing something right. So don't waste time feeling guilty or wondering what you did to deserve this. You didn't do anything to deserve it. This is just what happens when you're living a life that threatens darkness. Now, that being said, if there is sin in your life, if there are areas where you know you're not living right, those areas can create openings for attack. Think of it like leaving a door unlocked. It makes it easier for someone to get in. So if you know there are areas of your life that need to change, deal with those, confess them, ask for forgiveness, make the changes you need to make, close those doors. But don't confuse that with thinking you deserve to be attacked. You don't. Nobody deserves to be under spiritual attack. It's just something that happens when we're in a spiritual battle. Let me also say this. Some people think that if they just had more faith, they wouldn't be attacked. But that's not true either. Having strong faith doesn't make you immune to attacks. Actually, it often brings more attacks because you're more of a threat. Look at the people in the Bible who faced the most spiritual opposition. They were people of great faith. They were people who were doing important things for God. So if you're under attack, it doesn't mean your faith is weak. It might actually mean your faith is strong and growing, and the enemy is trying to stop that growth. Another thing I want to mention is the importance of gratitude during spiritual attacks. This sounds crazy, I know. How can you be grateful when everything is falling apart? But gratitude is actually a powerful weapon. When you choose to thank God for the good things in your life, even when you're under attack, it shifts your focus. It reminds you that the attack isn't the whole picture. You still have blessings. You still have reasons to be thankful. And when you focus on those things, it weakens the attack's hold on you. So try it every day, even when you're struggling. List 3 things you're grateful for. Say them out loud. Thank God for them. It makes a difference. I also want to talk about the importance of not fighting alone. We touched on this earlier, but it's worth repeating. When you're under attack, tell someone. Ask for prayer. Ask for support. The enemy wants you to think you have to handle this by yourself, but that's a lie. You have brothers and sisters in faith who can stand with you. You have people who care about you and want to help. Don't let pride or shame keep you from reaching out. Some of the strongest people I know are strong because they're willing to ask for help when they need it. And here's something else that's really important. Don't give the enemy too much credit. Yes, spiritual attacks are real. Yes, you need to fight back. But don't become obsessed with the enemy. Don't give him more power in your mind than he actually has. Keep your focus on God, not on the enemy. Acknowledge the attack, fight against it, but don't let it consume all your attention. God is bigger. God is stronger. God has already won. So keep your eyes on him, not on the battle. One more thing I want to mention is the power of Scripture. When Jesus was tempted in the desert, he fought back with Scripture. Every time the enemy came at him with a lie or a temptation, Jesus responded with truth from Scripture. And that's what you need to do too. Find verses that speak to your situation. Memorize them. Say them out loud when you're under attack. Write them down and put them where you'll see them. Let Scripture be your sword. Let it be your defense. There's power in those words, real power, power that the enemy can't stand against. Also, don't underestimate the power of simple things. Sometimes we think we need some big, dramatic solution to spiritual attacks, but often the most powerful things are the simplest: prayer, Scripture, worship, community. These are the basics, but they're the basics for a reason. They work. Don't overlook them in search of something more complicated. Stick to the basics. They're powerful enough. And finally, remember that this won't last forever. Spiritual attacks are temporary. They come and they go. And when you fight back, when you stand firm, when you don't give up, they eventually have to retreat. You will get through this. You will come out stronger on the other side. Every person of faith goes through seasons of attack. It's part of the journey, but it's not the end of the journey. There are better days ahead, days of peace, of growth, of victory. So hold on, keep fighting, don't quit, because what's waiting for you on the other side of this attack is worth fighting for. I hope this has helped you understand what spiritual attacks look like and how to fight them. If you're going through this right now, I want you to know you're not alone. Thousands of people are fighting the same battle. And more importantly, God is with you. He sees what you're going through. He hasn't abandoned you. He's right there with you, giving you the strength you need to keep going. Trust him, keep praying, keep pushing forward. You're going to make it through this.